Hey there, this is Rick with another update on my WD6i project. As you can see, I have it opened right now, and I have my products listed, and I have the newly implemented save feature. Well, I shouldn't say newly implemented, I have a link that just allows me to use the save feature, I should say. I implemented the save feature previously, however, I just didn't have a link to actually save things. So if I click on this link, and it doesn't matter which one, I can click on a few if I wanted to, and those things just start getting saved to the bottom of my card here. And I can delete them if I want to. And if I want to just add stuff to my cart, I can just add it to my cart. Now, I do have checkout implemented, so this is really quick and dirty, basic. Type in my info. Let's type in an actual cardholder name, but I'm going to just type in a dummy. And then my zip code. And if I click place order, I should be redirected. And I have a basic success message saying that my items were successfully purchased. And I do have Stripe open here, although that's documentation, so I'll just navigate to the main site, or the dashboard rather. And you can see I did a couple other test charges, but this is the most recent. It says today at 9:30. That's exactly what time it is right now, so that's the most recent charge. So Stripe is pretty cool. I'm thinking I'll be implementing this with some other projects. If not, I mean, it would make a great backup processor, so this is really cool. But other than that, I do have my save feature, my add to cart feature working properly. I've already demonstrated my sign in and sign out feature. This is a bug that I should remove. That does not look like it's supposed to be there. Uh, I see. Ta-da! Presenting the actual latest code. But anyways, moving on to the updates to my consulting slides, slideshow, I guess you could call it. I have all of the revisions for the flowchart in sequential order, I should say. So this was the first version, then we have the second version. Actually, those are just duplicated slides. Pardon me for that. And then we have an older version, and then we have the new version. I believe this older version is actually the second version. Yeah, so this was the first where I had it branch into two different, I guess you could say, two different ways how the site could be navigated. Not really sure how to describe it. It's just essentially two separate branches. Now, what I have here is I actually have everything in a single branch, but we have a different path for different scenarios, basically. So, customer signs in or customer signs up, they use a search box, which isn't actually implemented in the site, but I'm just giving a hypothetical here, or they browse the index, which would be the actual index page here. Then the website displays the product assortment, and do they save? Okay, if so, redirect them back to the products, or do they add to the cart? If so, redirect them back to their products, or to the site's products, I should say. And then if they navigate to checkout, user fills out credit card info and shipping info, and site uses Stripe to authorize and charge the credit card, and user successfully buys the merchandise. And from there, It's all about the logistics and getting the items sent to the customer, but this is basically a rundown of every single person who's going to be buying from WD6i. Other than that, we have some Trello board updates. Basically, I'm doing all of this stuff right now. I mean, most of it I can actually put in the done category. I just haven't gotten doing that yet. I'll probably do that right after this video. But a lot of stuff in the works, I guess you could say. And last but not least, here is the actual flow chart opened in draw.io. So this is the latest version. That's exactly what I just had in my slideshow there. Now, for the closing questions, how have I managed my time over the past week or so? I think I've managed it pretty well considering the fact that I'm working 2 jobs basically for the past week now. I've been working 2 jobs for the past week now. And what did I really do well over the late part of week 3 and the early part of week 4? Basically just playing catch up like I have been lately because of the fact that I have a lot of other stuff going on. I like that I've been able to pick up Laravel, and even if I have fallen behind, I can just pick up that extra slack in a few hours basically and just submit things essentially. While I may not be making deadlines, I am making progress, and that's what's most important, I believe. And what are some things I would personally like to do better? I believe I said this in the last assignment. I can't remember what I said though. One of the things that I would want to do better would be, number one, to better work out my timing for everything. So, I don't always miss deadlines essentially. Yes, I remember. So, essentially, the Academind, however you pronounce it, the YouTube videos that I was watching had an outdated version of the Stripe API in use. So I essentially was this close, and I know you can't see how much this is, but I was so close to actually meeting the deadline for the code submission from yesterday evening. But unfortunately, at the very last minute, I realized that the new version of the API didn't have the same methods or the functionalities, I guess you could say, as the API that was outlined in the YouTube video. So I had to painstakingly go into Stripe's actual API docs. As you can see, I was in the stripe.js documentation. So essentially, the difference between the old API and the new API is the old API you could just create your HTML form and you could use JavaScript to grab the values from that form essentially. Now the difference with the new version is you actually have to use Stripe to create the credit card form elements to gather the payment details. So you're using JavaScript to actually create HTML. You can't just type the HTML and just grab the data from the HTML. You have to actually create the HTML and then grab the data as well. So there's an extra step that I needed to do basically. Not to mention the fact that had to read through all of this and everything. So that was a lot of fun, obviously, but at the end of the day, I was able to get it working, as you could see, by the Stripe dashboard that I had open. I had my successful charges and whatnot. So at the end of the day, as long as I got it working, that's all that really matters, in my opinion. I'm glad I could get it to work, and I'm glad I got the experience to use Stripe, basically. Think ahead. What things do you need to wrap up immediately in order to finish your e-commerce project submission for week 4? The only thing that I do need to wrap up or, finish up would be the user profile page. Right now that is still in the works, essentially. I still need to be able to display and output basic user info, maybe allow the user to update their email address at the very least. Perhaps set a default billing address or shipping address, I should say, that's pre-filled at checkout. But other than that, I have my add to cart and my save to cart, I have my login, I have my logout, and those are basically the main major features of the website essentially. I could go a little bit further and I could allow the user to not just remove the saved items that they have, but I could also make it so that they could remove those save items and import them directly into the card, like move them to the card essentially. So that is something else I could do as well. Other than that though, I can't really think of anything else. So with that, I'm just going to end this video, and thanks again so much for watching. Bye bye.